Hey guys, welcome to week 5 of the relationship series. I hope you've been enjoying your groups. I hope you've been building some good relationships and being open and honest as you guys have been having these conversations. This last weekend, Chad talked about forgiveness. This is one of those topics that is incredibly easy to talk about and incredibly difficult to apply, to actually put it into practice. Because when we're talking about forgiveness, we're also talking about we've been wounded, we've been hurt. And our tendency when we've been wounded or we've been hurt is to get payback. It is to somehow hurt that person back. And Jesus says, no, there's a different way to handle when you've been hurt. And the reality is all of us will be hurt in our relationships. There are no perfect people, so there are no perfect relationships. And all of us, we need God's help. And so what Jesus modeled and what Jesus taught, God's help when it comes to our relationships, is instead of trying to constantly get payback and pay one another back, and you keep doing the eye for an eye and eventually the whole world goes blind, maybe you've heard that statement. Jesus says there's another way. Instead of getting payback, you can choose to offer forgiveness. Now there's a couple things I want to clarify that forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not instantly rebuilding trust with somebody who's hurt you. If it's unwise to restore a relationship to where it was because that person continues to hurt you, you don't have to do that. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not trust. It's also not just ignoring that anything ever happened. No, if somebody's hurt you, that's real. Those wounds, you don't just pretend like it didn't happen. To forgive and forget, you're probably not going to forget the wounds that people have given you. But what forgiveness is it's choosing to let go, choosing to cancel the debt of what that person owes you. Rather than waiting for payback, where someday there will be this kind of evening of the balance, it's saying, I'm going to choose to free that person, release them of the debt that they owe me. And in that, it's not just freeing them from that debt, it's freeing yourself from that burden of constantly waiting for that payback and reliving that event over and over and over again, and allowing that to turn into bitterness, where you have this deep anger that you wake up with, this rage towards a person, and it just festers and it grows and it actually begins to poison your other relationships. Jesus says that's not a way to live. That's not how to go through life, because there are broken people, there will be those wounds. Rather, we choose to forgive the same way Jesus has forgiven us, where Jesus came and he canceled our debt. Not because we worked for it or did anything to earn it, or because he gave us some kind of payback for what we've done. He chose to do that as a gift and to cancel that debt for us so that we might be made in a right relationship with God. And Jesus says, I want you to follow that same example. When you've been wounded, to choose to forgive that person, to choose to cancel the debt again and again, as many times as necessary, so that you don't carry that burden and they don't have to live with that burden either. Release them of the debt. It's a choice that we have to make, and we have to keep on making when those feelings start to creep back in, that anger, that bitterness, to choose again and again to forgive. Again, this is way easier to talk about and to say, and a lot more difficult to apply when we've been hurt. Why do you think it is that forgiveness is so difficult for us? As a group, let's have that conversation, be open, be honest, and be real. Why is it so difficult for us to forgive?